get some hostages.
Just want to tell you both good luck. We're all counting on you.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to run amphetamines.
Charlie, you ever play roulette?
On occasion.
Well, let me give you a word of advice.
Always bet on black.
By the way, is there anyone on board who knows how to fly a plane?
The End.fm, I am DJ Zwayne, and welcome to another edition of The Hijack. This is The Hijack number 284. Thank you so much for being a part of the program, and thank you for those of you that are new listening and for those of you that are old listening. We got some new listeners, so thank you so much for that. A lot of stuff has happened in the last week. Last week we talked to Kibby. We talked to her about Some Kind of Awesome. We talked to her about the hardcore movement and the hardcore punk movement in specifically in Orlando, and then the subgenre of that, which was the Christian underground punk movement. So very musical show last week. This week we're going to get a little bit more into the music stuff because our special guest next segment, comedian Shayne Smith, actually has a background in hardcore music, which is crazy. He is you probably saw him on Dry Bar Comedy, the Dry Bar Comedy special. He's the guy with the face tattoos. I don't know how else to put it, but he's also probably the funniest dry bar comedian that I have seen. It's they are a comedy channel out of Provo, Utah, if I recall correctly. But either way, before we get to all of that, there's a lot of stuff that happened. And before we get to all of that, make sure and follow me at DJ ZOUAIN on all social media. Wait, this way. I always get that wrong. Always. And you can also subscribe to The Hijack. God damn it, I did it wrong again. Subscribe to The Hijack on the End.fm. You could go to the End.fm and actually subscribe on whatever platform you choose. So back to business. I am reluctantly happy that the Buccaneers got to the Super Bowl with our New England leftovers. I'm happy for you guys. You know, enjoy it, Tampa fans, but I want you to kiss Tommy's rings. The rings that he got before he was with you. I'm not bitter. He's dead to me. Anyway, not to be a Debbie Downer, but the Super Bowl and sports in general is, I mean, it's widely known as a means to distract people. It's been happening since the Roman times. Well, and if you're not into sports ball, well then The Weeknd did a great job. He killed it on the halftime show. I actually got the chance to watch it afterwards. I was doing other stuff. I didn't even watch the Super Bowl. But he killed it. He killed it. The thing looked like he was in some sort of like goth bathroom, I think. And the dudes were wearing jock straps. That was interesting. So they were socially distant, and they were CDC compliant. So, like I said, I watched it the next day. They did a great job. They did actually really well, considering that they're used to having like a crowd to actually, you know, work with, in addition to the dancers on stage. And then there was the weird thing with the crowd being like just mannequins or something like that, or being cardboard cutouts. So yeah, so that was good. I mean, it was you know, as socially distanced as a Super Bowl can be. Jesus Christ. Anyway, great job to The Weeknd. Great job to the Buccaneers, to the Chiefs. Well, thank you for showing up. And you know, shout out to Joe Montana. I don't know. I don't follow football. The Super Bowl was probably played in the worst possible place in the U.S. The real winner of the Super Bowl is the COVID-19. Did you see the streets of Ybor? Holy crap. I have some friends that were out there DJing for work. And, man, I got to tell you, that Ybor City is crazy. It looks like I'm never going to be able to DJ regularly again. I just booked a gig for November, I think. Yeah, so I have an April and a November gig. The April gig is kind of making me nervous, but I think I'll work through it. I have some KN95s that I'll be wearing KN95s the whole time. I don't care. I don't trust other people. That's the reason that I wear KN95s and not just the little cloths. I was in Melbourne the other day, and some lady walks in just as if nothing was going on, not wearing a mask, annoying the shit out of everybody, and yeah, just your typical Karen. So anyway, I wear KN95s because of that. But it sounds like I'm never gonna DJ again regularly. Holy crap! I saw somebody on social media recently that said America is more highly regarded than any other country. Maybe by you. By who? Has this guy ever left Florida? Does he not have the internet? Or does he not have it for anything else other than to say stupid things? Does he not have Google? Speaking of news outside of Florida and news closer to me, I would like to let you guys know that the Dominican Republic still reigns supreme in the Caribbean as the Águilas Cibaeñas, my team of preference in the Dominican Republic, took the Criollos de Caguas from Puerto Rico and spanked them 1-4. So shout out to the Águilas Cibaeñas baseball club. But I know what's coming. Well, the COVID numbers in the Dominican Republic, those have to be real, right? Why are they not rising? Why aren't you bitching about that? Well, I'm glad you asked. Because let's see what the numbers are in the Dominican Republic. Unfortunately, here's the thing. As misguided as this is, my lovely island of Quisqueya la Bella tends to look at the U.S. when it comes to these kind of things. It's really annoying. They look at the U.S. to see how they're going to react. So they see the U.S. and they're like, oh, they're doing it, so we're going to do it. Because they think that the U.S. is who the U.S. was 40 years ago, where we were actual leaders, thinking leaders. So they're still guilty of, what, 30 deaths? Let's see. Yeah, let's see. As of yesterday, they had 12 deaths. This is the last 30 days. So the last 30 days, let's see, that's total. That's worldwide. The Dominican Republic, cases 22,000. Okay, so we have here total deaths 30, deaths 12. So that's those are the numbers that we're working with in the DR. And let's find out, what is their population? Their population is 10.74 million as of 2019. So that's the case. Let's take a look at the United States. The United States, on the same day that they had 12 deaths, we had 119 deaths. I know what you're going to say. They're a much smaller country, the Dominican Republic is. What is the population of Florida? Let's find out, because this is actually the Florida numbers. The Florida numbers are 119. The Florida numbers are 119, and we have 21.4 million deaths, or 21.4 million people. So we have about twice the amount of people in Florida, and we have 15, 20 times the deaths. So the numbers don't add up there. And let's look at the U.S. The U.S. is 328 million people. The deaths in the U.S. are... Let's go all. Show all. What are the deaths in all of the U.S.? Okay, the deaths in the same day that the Dominican Republic had 12, I think, we had 1,547. So you do the math as to how much more that is, you know? The U.S. is responsible for 5,100 deaths in the last, or 5,100 deaths, something like that, in the last 30 days. USA. So yeah, Super Bowl. It doesn't feel as good to talk crap to the Bucs, and to the Bucs fans like my brother, who talked crap about Tom Brady and hated on him all the time. It's not as sweet right now, you know. Because of the COVID-19, because I want to be able to talk crap to them, but it's kind of diminished because I know that there are going to be a ton of people that are going to die due to this. But here's the thing: the silver lining is that I guess President Biden is expecting to get 150 million doses out by the summer. So it could be that I get hallucination before Christmas. I get to actually go to hallucination before Christmas. I get to do my regular end of the year rituals, Shirefest, probably go to Halloween and all those festivals. I'm very excited. I hope that we're able to do that again very, very soon. Now, and Tom Brady, can you calm down with the whole like Tampa Bay? Like everybody's now Tampa Bay all the way. Last year, you guys were talking, or 2 years ago, you were talking shit about him. Now it's it's Tampa Bay. Oh yeah, Tampa Brady. Yeah, well, whatever. Anyway, I'm going to take a break and come back, and when I return, I will be chatting with comedian Shayne Smith right here on the Hijack on the End.fm. I am DJ Zwain, and this is the Hijack number 284. Thank you for listening. For those of you new that are listening recently, thank you so much. For those of you OGs, thank you as well. Your attendance is appreciated. My next guest, I am so excited. He is a comedian, which you've probably seen on Dry Bar Comedy or all over YouTube. He hosts the Cowboy Boys podcast, and he seems to have a strawberry Pop-Tart superiority complex here. So we're going to be talking about that and more right here on the Hijack. Welcome, Shayne Smith. Shayne, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I am so excited. So I have to tell you, the reason that I even reached out to you, I have to give a big old shout out to the homie Finn McKenty, who does not know who I am. But I am a listener, an avid listener of, or watcher of the Punk Rock MBA and his podcast, etc.
Great stuff.
Yeah. So the only art form that I follow more than I do music, and specifically heavy music, is stand-up comedy. And the first time I saw you was on that Dry Bar Comedy special a couple of years ago, I guess it was now. And I mean, you were awesome. So after that, I went looking for more of your comedy, and now I follow you like I follow most talented comics. Like I do a lot of bands, even the old hardcore bands that I listen to this day. So while watching the Punk Rock MBA, I learned that you were a straight edge hardcore kid, that you used to be in the motorcycle club and you did all sorts of crazy shit. So
sure.
I was like, and then I keep looking, and you said you skated and you rollerbladed specifically.
Yep.
Which I grew up doing and was a huge part of my life. So I feel like, other than like your gaming and the heresy of your strawberry Pop-Tart thing, I think I was like, man, I need to talk to this guy. So like, you were a hardcore kid in Utah. That's where you grew up, right?
Yeah. Utah has a pretty big hardcore scene. They have Utah's a weird, it's really religious, so they have a really big alt culture scene in Utah to match the religious scene out there.
Interesting. Because like I was going to ask you that because, Utah being the Mormon capital, was there a Christian hardcore scene there? Like a big Christian hardcore scene?
The lead singer of Sleeping Giant's family is from Utah.
I love Sleeping Giant.
Yeah, one of my favorite bands of all time. And
really?
Then, yeah. And there's a lot of other bands that are, Aftermath of a Train Wreck, Chelsea Grin.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah, I didn't even realize. Yeah.
Cherem. These are all bands from Utah.
That is so hilarious. How far were you from Salt Lake City when you were growing up?
So I grew up about 3 hours away from Salt Lake City in central Utah, which is kind of like a barren wasteland. It's I grew up in like a trailer with a potbelly stove for heat.
Damn.
My parents had me drop out of school to help cut wood.
Wow.
For a while. So yeah, I had one of those I've met some Amish people, and we have a lot in common, just being from like completely separate, removed from society type childhoods,
That is insane. I have a couple of friends a couple of friends that like have lived that life, like that rural, like, you know, chopping wood and that kind of, like chopping wood, like that's how much of a fucking city boy I am. I'm like, yeah, chopping wood. I lived in the Dominican Republic. I lived in a big city in the Dominican Republic. I was born in Boston, and then I grew up in Orlando. Like, so between those three, like, just total city. I love going to like remote small towns. In fact, one of the festivals I used to go to was in a really small town called Bushnell, Illinois, a thing called Cornerstone.
Okay.
It's no longer there. It was an old Christian underground music festival. But the likes of Norma Jean and Sleeping Giant and all those guys. In fact, a few weeks ago, actually, it's funny we mentioned this. A few weeks ago, right here on the Hijack, we briefly talked about hardcore punk culture in general and the different like sects of the punk and hardcore scenes, and I split them up basically on the general archetype, because I was talking to, quote, a normie. One of my really good friends is not, you know, in the scene.
Yeah. Well, it's there's a lot if you don't know.
Exactly. It's a very, and so, like, you know, I explained, like, you know, Anti-Flag first, you know, they're political punk bands, you know, like them, The Clash, which is my favorite band of all time. And you know, they get rowdy about causes, but then you have like the archetype of the Madball listener, and like, you know, those guys, the tough guy hardcore bands, and I think you probably fell into more of that realm. Am I right about that?
I was a very like hardcore kid. Yeah, I like beatdown. I think that's what we would have called it. But I also was really interested in politics and stuff. So I liked the intersection between like,
me too.
We're gonna, if you fuck with us, we're gonna hit you with a pipe. And also like, I care about what happens in politics. So like Cherem back in the day, they were the hometown heroes, and they were really the band. They were talking about, they were, you know, animal rights, politics, for, you know, all this other type of stuff, and but they were also like, if you come to our shows you could die, and I was like, this right here, let's do it all, baby.
Yes. So that's actually, so it's really funny. You know, I feel like a lot of the straight edge hardcore kids and the Christian kids got along after a while. Like the straight edge hardcore kids fucking hated the Christian kids for a while. And then like bands like, you know, bands that were Christian that happened to like fucking slap ended up showing up, and, you know, it was just kind of undeniable at that point. And so like they started kind of intermingling because of just like, oh, you don't do drugs? We don't do drugs. And like that kind of thing. And I found the craziest shit happened at straight edge and Christian shows. Like by far. Like,
oh, yeah, I could agree with that. One of the craziest live shows I've ever been to in my life was a Death Star show.
Yeah, oh, dude,
so they were an ex Death Star X, and they were a straight edge Christian band with 4 vocalists.
Yep.
Which, like, what even why do normal? Just everyone's in the band. Let's go, boys.
Let's do it.
Man,
give everybody a microphone.
Yeah, dude, they were crazy. And
that's so funny.
Yeah.
So politically speaking, where do you land?
Oh, I'm a leftist. I'm like a communist.
Wow. Okay, you're legit commie, huh?
Yeah.
Damn.
By the way, if you like the intersection between rowdiness and political, there's a band called Kind Eyes you should check out.
Okay, yeah, and you need to check out a band called Car Bomb. I don't know if you know them.
Car Bomb. I am aware of Car Bomb, actually.
My friend just put them in my radar. There's so much music, but my friend just brought them up. My friend who actually got me into Christian metal is now like not into like Christianity either. I'm a Christian, but I'm not I don't side with the evangelicals on most things.
Yeah.
I actually
a red letter Christian.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. I am one of those Christians that doesn't mind. Wow. I just realized I left a torch on the desk. That's dumb.
I was watching that earlier, and I was like, wonder what that's for.
It's a blowtorch. Don't ask questions, man. Don't ask questions. Here's the thing. Things happen around here. I was fixing something. Anyway, the point is,
gotta have a torch.
You know, gotta have a torch. But anyway, so yeah, I remember getting rowdy with like all the Christian bands. I actually got into a bottle rocket fight with the guys from Norma Jean, like the first incarnation of Norma Jean. We almost got arrested, and Josh almost shot a cop with it must be so nice to be white. Like I left so me and one of the other guys left to go to get drinks or something. We go get sodas or something from 7-Eleven. And yeah, I come back and Josh runs up to me and he's like, dude, I thought he was you. And I was like, you thought who was me? He's like, the cop. I was like, the fucking cop? He's like, yeah, we almost shot a cop. So like, that's the kind of, and we were talking about those kinds of stories last week. Do you have, and one of the other thing that we talked about last week is the correlation between, again, politics and music, and the kids that were like in the crews, the hardcore crews, ending up in like either gangs, which a lot of them did, or ended up like Proud Boys and shit like that. Were you part of a crew up there? You don't have to name any names.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah.
Okay.
The pipeline from hardcore crew to motorcycle club is a straight line.
Oh,
it's
wow.
just right there. Yeah.
I figured it made sense because like you were talking about like robbing drug dealers and shit, and I was like, okay, yeah, that would totally make sense that a kid that like grew up listening to Earth Crisis grows up and is like, well, if I'm gonna be in a gang, I might as well rob the drug dealers. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, that's what most gangs do. When people think about crime, I just think that so much of their opinion is informed by TV, and they don't realize that the odds of a regular person being victimized by like a professional criminal are like almost zero. You're more likely to be victimized by the police than a guy who robs banks or whatever for a living.
I mean, of course,
rob each other. It's a $1 trillion industry.
Well, I'm a Dominican Arab living in a post 9/11 world. Of course, I'm gonna be targeted.
Yeah,
I'm more afraid of the cops. Actually, my one of my friends, I just moved back to an area that I used to live in, and I love this apartment in this little area. And they asked me about like, what do you think of the area? I was like, the only thing that I don't like is my proximity to the police department. Like,
there it is.
I mean, that's it. But yeah, so your experience was you went from, and I'm assuming the regular experience is you went from a straight edge hardcore kid to a motorcycle gang professional criminal.
I mean, when you say it like that, it does sound silly, but yes, that's technically.
That's
though
it makes sense to me.
It doesn't happen in just, there's no like tryouts or anything, you know, of course. You know, I grew up around people in motorcycle clubs. My stepfather was not a great guy. We'll just say that.
Okay.
And so the term legacy it would come up if people are wondering how that could happen. And you know, when you're you can be a sketchy street kid who's car hopping, you know, doing minor crimes, burglaries or whatever, and fighting, and people notice and they're like, would you like to make more money? And you say, yeah. And then over time, you know, things happen.
That makes sense. That actually makes, I mean, it made sense to me before because I knew some of the kids. Like we had one of the big Central Florida crews was like the Chaos Crew.
Yes.
And you remember, do you remember Chaos Crew?
I do.
Okay. Yeah. So they would show up and like they've beat up or attempted to beat up people that I know. The kids that I knew, like I'm not in touch with any of them. Most of them came from like Tampa and Ybor, but we had a pretty big handful in Orlando, and I mean they would just show. I remember that one time they would show up with like Hulk hands. Did you guys do that? Like when the Hulk hands were a thing, they would show up with Hulk hands to the shows and shit. And I thought it was the most hilarious thing in the world.
I do. I'm lots of goofing off. It is funny that the intersection between like people literally getting murdered at shows on a semi-regular basis and how dorky we all are.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah.
Because we were all trying to have a good time and be goofy.
Yep.
But we were also wound up so fucking tight that like, yeah, we showed up to shows. I wore wizard robes to shows. Just like being a total goofball.
Yep.
But the second we thought we were justified, it was on, dude. It was on. And we were gonna absolutely shred you to pieces. And
dude,
so
I think it was at a Chariot show at Will's Pub that I showed up with a pink t-shirt that said King of the Pit. and just to fuck with people. And yeah, I mean, it's just like, and I remember one time I think I had gotten bit by something. I had a fever, and I think somebody was playing. Maybe it probably was the Chariot. Was playing, and I asked the bartender at Will's Pub if I could get a chair so that I could sit down and watch the show, and he's like, "Fuck no, I'm not putting a chair in there. Are you high?" I was, but that's not the point. And yeah, that's the kind of like when we talk about memories, and this is the second show that I've done with a scene kid. Last week was my friend Kibby, so I think it's a good lead-in. And she and I had been going to shows for 20 years. She manages bands up in New York now and shit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart. And she shout out to Some Kind of Awesome Radio, and somekindofawesome.com. But yeah, so the whole idea of transitioning to that. How long were you in like a motorcycle club?
About 4 years.
Wow. That sounds crazy. Your Anton story is insane. Like, if you have not checked out his dry bar comedy, Jesus Christ, it's insane. And you got that. So that place is in Provo, Utah, right?
Yeah. The place where I performed is in Provo.
Yeah, and they are. One of my friends was telling me that they were suspicious about dry bar comedy's like inner workings, like maybe affiliation to the alt-right type shit.
I think that Mormons especially are like so out of the loop politically that they wouldn't even know how to affiliate themselves. Does that make sense? Like,
sure, yeah.
They're so boomerish and like very Christian dorky.
Yeah.
They're still, I mean, listen, I won't defend a lot of the things the LDS Church has done. They've obviously spent millions of dollars to stop gay marriage and other things. We don't have to get political.
Sure.
But to their credit, politically, I think most LDS people are just kind of like, I don't know. Yeah. Like they truly are like out of it. And so, yeah, dry bar is in no.
Yeah. Okay.
The idea that they would even know, like, dude, I bet you if you went to the dry bar offices and asked around, they'd be like, what are you talking about?
Okay, good. I'm glad because like it's a I think as a comedy nerd, I love and I mean I love all comedy, but clean comedy to me is it's number one, the most challenging in my opinion, and it's to me the funniest because it takes so much time and so much to craft something like that, Yeah, it is a whole nother beast. I'll agree with you there. Yeah,
I'm glad I have the skills to do. I don't prefer to do clean, but I'm capable. Yeah. So I like both. I do like to just say whatever I want.
Yeah.
But I also think doing clean comedy has helped me not use certain language as a crutch.
Yes, I think that. Well, and that's the thing. So another thing that I'm very nerdy about I mean, if you said you were into it, I'd be like, okay, now I'm not even surprised. Is battle rap.
Battle rap. So I'm not way into it, but I'm aware of it, and it is cool.
So one of the biggest battle leagues, like one of the is Grind Time Now, and they came out of Orlando. And a couple of those battle rappers are actually really good friends of mine. Two of my favorites are two dudes that are Christian dudes that rap, and they fucking destroy. Like, they will show up. They don't get violent. They don't get sexual. They don't curse. And they just eat these people for fucking lunch. It's insane. And
I know a battle rapper named Blind Fury. Do you know him?
Blind Fury. Yes, I know the name.
He's a blind guy.
Yeah.
And he's really good.
Yeah, no, he's fucking
that's
insane.
the only battle rapper I'm aware of.
Yeah, well, the guys Isaac Knox and Air Jordan, or Keys now is what he goes by, but Isaac Knox and Jordan are insane. And was that the big breaking point for you? Like, was that like what kicked it off for you, or was Was
yeah,
there something before?
definitely. I that my first special that I put out with Dry Bar was the thing that kind of like elevated me to a place where people would pay attention and sort of give me the time of day to build on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to have that foundation, or else people are gonna. You can put all the funny things you want on Twitter, and no one cares if you know. So
That's
yeah,
true.
it was that.
That's awesome, man. And you so when you did that, was that you just did that for that show, right? That was comedy for that particular show.
Yeah.
That's,
yeah.
That is insane. That was so good. Now, tell me a little bit about because you said you like Florida in one of the interviews.
I do.
Where did you go and what did you do that you said, "Oh, I like Florida"?
Okay, so firstly, where did I go for my first time in Florida? I think for my first time ever in Florida, for comp. So I'd been to like the Everglades before,
yeah,
and like exploring, which is fun, but that's not like I didn't really meet anyone. I was
Sure.
doing like camping and type shit like that.
Yeah.
But when I went officially, I went to Tampa first.
Okay, yeah. Good old
So
Tampa.
that was just like, whoa, we're in another country. Like, dude, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was cool. I will also and I did meet a girl in Florida who made me like Florida a lot. Shouts out.
Yeah.
Shouts out to women from Florida.
Yeah,
You guys
those
are
Florida chicks.
killing it, dude.
Yeah,
What?
we're spoiled. We're spoiled.
What is in the water down there, man?
meth mostly?
Just these girls are just wrestling gators, and anyway, so
Yeah,
it was
bro.
great. Yeah, I had a good time in Orlando. I had a good time in Jacksonville.
Hell yeah, dude. Jacksonville. See, I'm in Orlando. I grew up in Lake Mary. So
Okay.
Lake Mary is a suburb of Orlando. I'm probably 15 minutes away from Orlando right now. And so I've been in and out of Orlando all my life. It's been home base since 1991 when I moved here from the Dominican Republic. So it's really interesting to hear other people's perspective, because I've been here and I've been to other countries and I've been to like other states, New England, very fucking different from here. Except for if you go to Volusia County, about 30 minutes away from here, a city called DeLand. If you go to downtown DeLand, you feel like you transported and you're like in fucking Maryland or something. But you have to go to like the winter or something, because if not, it's hot as balls and you're gonna know that you're in God's armpit. But yeah, I was. Are you in Utah right now, or are you in New York? What?
I live in New York. Yeah.
That's dope. Where in New York? Whereabouts?
I live in Queens.
Nice. Okay. Word.
Yeah.
And have you done any of these Zoom? So I DJ. Like 60% of my income is DJing, or was DJing. Now it's 10% of my income. And my first gig, my last gig in front of people was March 7th, and then I DJ'd a Zoom party, which was interesting. I mean, they partied hard, and it's great because I have the setup here, but. Have you done any of these comedy shows on Zoom or these online comedy shows?
So a lot of people do them. A lot of comics seem to like them.
Yeah.
I can't hang. I don't like it. I do not like it.
Yeah.
I did one Zoom show. It went not great.
No.
And I was like, dude, I will never do that again. I would rather starve.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're making a lot of money from Zoom shows anyway.
No, yeah.
So yeah, I just basically was like, no, I'm good. I'm not gonna do these. Yeah, they're so bad. I just feel like, for me personally, I do think that this is kind of a symptom of being a hardcore kid too, and growing up in where the live experience of the music enhances the listening experience.
100%.
Not live. And I think that EDM, electronic dance music, and hardcore and metal, those two genres very specifically depend on your knowledge of what it is like to see it live in order to truly grasp how great it is in your
Absolutely.
headphones.
I agree. Yeah, I actually, one of the reasons that I still listen to, Madball and all of these bands, and one of the reasons why every year, like church, I will go to a Sick of It All show at the beginning of every year, is because, like, it's the nostalgia. It's the nostalgia, and then it's kind of like a cycle, because then you remember the day, like the last time you watched them live. So it's cyclical, and that's why obviously that's why live events have really taken a kick in the pants as far as like momentum, because it's a whole year of like, oh, what were we doing in April? Oh yeah, sitting at home smoking weed, or not smoking weed in your case. Yeah,
Diet Coke.
Drinking Mountain Dew enough to be called Mountain Dew guy. But yeah, dude, it's I'm sad about it, and thankfully, knock on wood, I'm doing okay production wise, but like I miss the DJing, I have an entire setup here that, like, whenever I'm like, you know what, fuck this, I'm just gonna DJ for an hour, and I release mixes on the End FM, and like because I want to keep sharp, and when it comes to comedy, like, how do you keep sharp? I guess podcasting keeps you sharp, doesn't it?
It does. Podcast helps. Yeah, and that kind of goes to my point about why I was bringing up the live thing, because I just feel that way about comedy. And I truly can't shake that. I think what makes comedy so great is that relationship between you and the people, and feeling as if you know each other, right?
Absolutely.
There's a rapport, there's an authenticity in your interaction, and that's why the best live shows you watch on like Netflix or whatever, it's always worse in an arena, I think.
Yeah.
Always better. The smaller the room gets the person is in, the better the watching experience is for the viewer.
Absolutely.
I think a small theater is the absolute sweet spot. And then as soon as you get bigger, it's like you lose a piece of that magic. Anyway, so I don't do Zoom shows. I stay sharp by podcasting.
Good.
Luckily, I truly don't think, for me, comedy is a perishable skill. I don't do a character. I don't do anything like that. I simply just like tell stories and talk as if you were my homies in the living room at 2 a.m. after the show, or like we're all hanging out at Denny's.
Yeah.
So I'm very lucky to have a style that was nurtured by hanging out with morons at Denny's after hardcore shows. You know what I mean?
Oh, boy, do I know what you mean.
So I don't have a lot of, some other comics, they're real performers, man. And that's tough, because you gotta, to practice, you need to perform. I'm not a performer. I am actually this stupid. Like, that's just me, man.
You're not that stupid. Now you have there's a couple of things that you're not stupid, because you said you're learning Spanish. I think it was on the podcast that you said that you were trying to learn Spanish.
I am trying.
Okay.
I'm on that Duolingo every day, dude.
Yeah. ¿Cómo te va?
No hablo español.
You're gonna need to prove past that, bro. Now, and you said that you drink 7 double gulps of Mountain Dew a day.
Yeah, I drink a lot of soda even now. I mean, I drink, I want to say about 24 cans of soda a day.
Jesus Christ! Oh my God.
Yeah.
Flavor, like with the sugar?
No. It's diet soda. If it was sugar, man, I would die. That's too much,
bro.
Yeah, I drink diet soda.
I had a coworker back when I was in IT. My last IT gig, there was a guy that would literally bring like cases a week, like 6 cases or something, like 5 cases a week, 4 cases a week maybe, of all soda, and he would just crack them open and drink them drink them warm.
Okay, that's serial killer stuff. I don't like that.
Yo.
We gotta call someone about him.
Yeah, I mean he's diabetic too. Like he had the thing, the insulin thing.
Oh, that's scary. So
Bro.
is he just managing his insulin levels with soda all day? Is that what he's doing?
I guess I looked at him and I was just like, it was so weird. I'm like, bro, you have a little fucking pager full of, stuff. If you maybe stop doing that shit, maybe? I don't know. I'm no doctor. I don't find, Diet Mountain Dew in the wilderness. So maybe there's something to that. It's insane. Ugh.
That's wild.
But you have the Cowboy Boys podcast.
Yes.
And does your co-host have a dominatrix?
No. My co-host does not have a dominatrix.
Okay.
He's just a goofball.
Okay, I was gonna say, I was like, God damn, y'all get real weird. That's awesome.
No, he's just my goofy South American brother from another mother.
Well, you definitely have big Florida energy, brother.
Hell yeah.
I'll give you that. And when you're in Orlando, definitely hit me up. And what do you ride right now? What do you use for rollerblades?
Oh, I'm on the Aeons.
Nice.
60 mils. Yeah, dude, so fun.
Yeah.
So fun to ride flat.
I have not had my buddies who still rollerblade all the fucking time have hit me up and they're like, yeah, you need to come back. So I think this year I'm gonna actually get back on. My last pair was, what did I have? Oh, my last pair were Solomons. A pair of Solomons.
Oh!
Yeah, Solomons. I was in so I lived for 2 years. I lived in Shreveport, Louisiana, and this is around the time when I became a Christian.
Okay.
And because it was the early 2000s and everybody just slapped an ichthus on things, they had an Extreme Sports for Christ thing, and I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll try it. And these kids fucking, like, they ripped. They were really good. So we went to this skate park in Tyler, Texas, and I blew my knee out on their 12-foot half pipe. And that was the first of 4 that I blew my knee out that I was just like, you know what? I'm going to stop for a while. I'm not going to do crazy shit anymore.
Let's go ahead and get you go online, get the Stuntmen knee pads.
Right.
They're real thin. They go into your pants. No one can even see you're wearing them.
Yeah. I'd rock the lazy legs. I'm not going to lie. No shame in my game. I will go old school.
There it is.
When was the last time you rode?
Oh, I skated like a couple days ago. I skate all the time.
That's awesome. My youngest brother recently passed away, a couple of years ago. But he was the one that was keeping the legacy alive in rollerblading. He was like actually going to comps and shit like that. So now it's time for me to go back and blow my knee out a couple more times before I turn 40. You're like,
Heck
what?
yeah.
You're 35?
34.
34? All right.
Yeah, man.
Dude, you're a
It's
fucking...
in vogue.
It's apparently like cats in their 30s. I mean, are you familiar with like the old rollerblading guys like Randy Spicer and Arlo Eisenberg and all those guys? Okay, yeah, that's the...
I'm friends with a bunch of those guys.
No shit.
Yeah, I'm deep in... I was pretty good a while ago. So I'm friends with a lot of rollerbladers. I've been sponsored here and there. I think I was
so fucking modest.
I was in one magazine once.
No shit.
Yeah.
Oh man. So so I actually, obviously on social media, I follow Randy Spicer, old Roadhouse, and then I follow Dave Kolash. Actually lives down the street, like 30 minutes away. OG. He's an OG rollerblader. That's so funny. So who were you sponsored by?
I was sponsored by, I had Grindhouse. You remember them? They used to give me wheels all the time. A rollerblader you should hit up or you should pay attention to.
Yeah.
He's also a hardcore kid.
Yeah.
Also old school. Stefan Brandow.
Stefan Brandow. The name rings a bell. Do you know Conjure Brand? Are you familiar with Conjure?
I am familiar with Conjure.
The homie Rob Rob Harrison is a good buddy. We talk online every once in a while. He was actually friends with my brother. We've been meaning to actually physically meet. So maybe I'll hit him up and I'll bring him on. Maybe I'll do a series of rollerblade and rollerblade adjacent episodes.
Dude, yeah.
So shout out to Rob Harrington, and shout out to Conjure Brand and Rob Kellett and all those guys out in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So that is so fucking cool. What a small world.
It is.
My tattoo artist is he owns and when you come down here I'll introduce you, but Bear owns Imperial Class Tattoo. He's part of he's part of the whole Ink Fusion crew that like goes to the conventions and tattoos and shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I saw that you had the Darth Vader tattoo. Did you say that your chest tattoo was the most painful?
You know what? It used to be, but it actually switched as of yesterday.
Get the hell out of here.
My sternum was a really bad experience, and it was. So I have a few tattoos that are 10 of 10 pain, but they were painful, and then they moved off the pain, when you do something else.
Yeah.
I got my arm. I'm getting my arm blacked out. One of my arms is getting mostly blacked out.
Okay. Yeah.
And I did the underarm near my armpit.
Right here. Yes, bro.
So I blacked out that whole area yesterday.
Oh, bro.
Just because when you get a regular tattoo, you don't realize that they pull lines, they reset their tubes, they put a different mag in, they think about what they're gonna do, they clean it. There's a pace to it.
Yep.
Makes it much more easy to stand.
Yeah.
Whereas when you get a blackout, there's no pace. There is just 2 hours under the needle. I truly think that if you get a 2-hour tattoo, maybe time under needle half of that time, right?
Yeah.
You get a blackout, almost all time under needle.
Oh my god.
And so
that's awful.
When she did the blackout on the inside of my arm, it was she moved over to the top part of my arm to like fill in a spot, and the under of my arm was in so much pain that the residual pain under my arm was more than the current tattoo on the top.
Jesus.
That is not a good sign. Also, as you get older, tattoos hurt more.
Yes.
What am I doing?
Yeah.
So anyway, yesterday was like the worst experience I've ever had. I was in the Uber on the way home from the appointment, and my arm hurt so bad that I was like, I should just cry.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, what if I just started, the Uber drivers just seeing, I was wearing a parka with like a tank top. I look like a Russian gangster, but then I just start openly weeping in the car. like, dude, it hurt so bad. And I was just, I've never been that miserable before. I really, it's the closest I've ever been to tapping out.
So when I got this part, I actually agree with you about the chest. That I hated the chest more than I hated the arm, more than I hated this, because I was there with this really cute girl who, for some reason, wanted to see. Do you ever get that? People wanting to see you get tattooed?
Yeah, I never let them.
Okay, well, this was a pretty girl, so I made an exception. So, my friend Bear, who's been my tattoo artist for fucking 15 years, I go, hey man, this is so and so. I'm not gonna say her name. And he's like, cool, all right. Well, we're gonna be doing under your arm. And I was like, all right, cool. And I sit there, and he just starts going, and I was like. And he's like, stop moving, pussy. And I was like, dude, at least you don't, like, can't you just do the arm somewhere else? Like, I have a lot of real estate. It was,
In front of the girl.
In front of the girl. I love you, Bear, but Jesus, seriously?
Tough time.
Yeah, so yeah, no, I actually think that the chest hurt more, because the chest, I went from here to here, and I was supposed to get a lion in the middle. And I was like, nope, we're not doing the lion. We're putting the lion on the back of the calf, which also hurt like a motherfucker.
Yeah, that's not a good spot. And now that we're older, there's no good spot.
No.
It's all so bad. It's all so bad.
I still have this arm. I'm in a couple of weeks. I got to go in there and get the right arm colored in and drawn in. So that'll be good,
sir.
Yes, thank you. So, are you? So, do you have anything booked yet as far as comedy? Like, I just booked something for November, for instance.
Yeah, I have a bunch of tentative dates after July. I will be posting them on my website. I'm going to be hopefully in Florida. I very specifically have told my agent, like, hey man, I need to be in Florida
Bro.
next winter, 100%.
You come
I
to
love
Florida. You come to Florida, bro, and when you do, hit me up and we'll go out and party. Well,
I love it.
yeah, you know what I mean. Like
I do know what you mean, and I'm down.
Yes.
Yeah. So Florida, Boston, DC, Washington,
beautiful.
Utah, New York. I'll be all over. I'm going to Alaska. They were like, "Hey, do you want to do shows in Alaska?" And I was like, "Absolutely, I do. I'm going to see. I'm going to take a photo of a bear." And so,
awesome.
yeah, I'll be all over the place. So the end of the last half of this year,
Yeah.
listen, but me and you both.
Yeah.
I'm not religious, but please pray.
Oh, dude,
if he's up there, he's got to listen to you, man.
Hey, you know what? And speaking of Tampa, and speaking of partying, and speaking of everything, one of my yearly traditions is hallucination before Christmas, which is the shirt that I'm wearing right now, and that happens in December. I missed it last year, obviously, because it was all pandemic-y out. But I can't wait to do that. Are you into electronic music at all? Like, I'm all over the place when it comes to music. Well,
I am.
Cool. Well, if you're here in December, we'll go to hallucination before Christmas and get rowdy.
Dude, that sounds really. I'm legit down, dude. I am down.
Where can people find you?
Yeah, SHAYDOZER. I'm also on Twitch.
Dope.
Cowboy Boys podcast.
Yes.
I also just started my music project.
Dude,
Untitled.
I just heard it. I just
Yeah.
heard that clip. That sounds fucking awesome.
Thank you, man. Someone told me I sound like it's Korn and old school Korn and Lamb of God together and knocked loose, and I was like, wow, that is a eclectic group, and I am happy to be that person.
Yeah,
so.
no, I could totally see all three of those. The first part, the middle part, I could see the corn, the corn in the middle part. Yeah, dude, it was really, really good. So where can people find that?
We have not even named it yet. We literally today we were like, wow, people like it. We should name this because we're gonna make more. So I'm thinking of a name right now. But
nice.
Yeah, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and you'll see it. I play games on Twitch and do political commentary. Come talk to me about why you think I'm wrong for being a communist.
Oh, dude, we need to. So this show, this show has had different incarnations. And the last incarnation was me and a dude by the name of the 5-Minute Professor, who is very left-leaning dude, and very smart, very just an awesome dude. And then our other co-host, Ben Paris, who was the mayor of Longwood, Florida. So the three of us, and then me, and yeah, my position. So my political positions, I guess. And let's talk about this real quick. My political position has gone from evangelical Christian right winger to libertarian to further left, and now I'm like, I have I don't know, maybe anarcho something.
I was gonna say libertarians are like a whisper away from being anarchists. They're very close.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, it's on brand. I mean, I grew up in the scene that proliferated all of that. So so I guess anarchist adjacent maybe, but not really, because like I believe that the money that here's my libertarian stance.
Okay.
I believe that the money that's being stolen from us should go to the betterment of the community instead of building better bombs.
I agree with that 100%.
So my entire political view has changed between 2008 and before that. And the thing is, you got to understand, Christians, and evangelical Christians in particular, were politically completely unaware until right before Reagan, when the pro-life bullshit started. Like, that was just one political dude who said, hey, those guys are not politically aware and not politically active. Let's find a reason to piss them off. And voila.
Yeah, a lot of that ties into the Red Scare also, trying to make communists out to be godless and whatever.
Yes. I gave you shit about communism. I cut my teeth, my radio teeth. Most of my radio career, I worked for conservative talk radio.
Interesting.
I was doing news for Salem Media Group, which is the largest Christian conservative conglomerate in the country. Ooh. And when I got the job because I was, I could do all of this in 2 languages. So I was doing English and Spanish voiceovers, the only dude to be able to do that in that building. So I was able to say, hey, by the way, the only news that I'm going to be reporting on is apolitical. Who got stabbed, who got shot, where, things like that. Not going into spin. And they were pissed. It took them 2.5 years to find 2 people to replace me. So.
It took them that long to find someone to speak the most spoken language in the world.
Well, it's somebody that would do that and work for that company.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. It's just so funny that they are such.
Oh yeah.
They're a group that they're like, man, we got to find someone who speaks the most spoken language. This is going to be tough. It's like, should be a non-issue, dude.
Yeah. In Florida, of all places. I mean, like, it's not
no kidding.
You're not in Wisconsin. Okay, so people could check out ShayneSmithComedy.com, at Shane Dozer on all social. The Cowboy Boys podcast, you could check it out on all podcast platforms. Is there anything else? When are you gonna? Do you know when you're going to be in Orlando?
No, I think I'm guessing August-ish.
August-ish? Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you have a crew in Orlando now, brother. So,
I'd love to hear it, man. I'm ready.
You have a skate crew. You have some hardcore kids over here. You got home here. You got that Florida energy. So. Thank you so much for being on the show, man. My name is DJ Zwain. You can find me anywhere on social media at DJ ZOUAI. And you can find The Hijack, you can find Irreverent, and you can find the Monday Music Mix, all available at the end.fm and wherever you get your podcasts. You could just go to the end.fm and click on each individual show wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe there. Aside from that, check out the new Jesus is a Heretic t-shirts coming out in the next week or so. So follow me on all social media for the latest, and I will talk to you next week. Peace.